Hi, Tim Sells here. I'm going to be talking about Kylie is criticizing two moms who make good money in network marketing, and in the end, she kind of gets nasty. And so, and I'm going to point to that, and then I'm going to have you evaluate that. Okay. All right. So let's listen.
Today has been very productive, and I feel really good about it because one huge project is even making this video, and I made a couple other videos and a couple other graphics, and I just had a really good time. So I hope that sums it up.
So let's tally up how long she worked today. 2 hours, okay? She worked for 2 hours, maybe 2 hours and 30 minutes, the whole day. And this is a full-time coach who's going to a retreat in Arizona, fully paid for, which, by the way, that's like the elite coaching trip that everybody gets to go on if you hit like elite. I'm pretty sure, because they just had one in Scottsdale, which I'm assuming they've been doing this for years. So this is somebody who's got a lot of people under her, and she got in a long time ago, okay? So how does that work? Okay, you work for 2 hours. I've never heard of a job where you get to work for 2.5 hours a day. And that's a long day.
Woo, what an evening.
Huh? Hey, huh? What do you fucking mean? These people do nothing. And again, made some graphics, checked in with my coaching, checked in with my challenge groups, which is her clients. Hello. What? And by the way, that's not even clearly defined what that is. She's saying, oh, I checked in. It could be like, hey guys, need anything? How long does that take? This is so skewed. Okay.
Okay, so now you get an idea there, and she's kind of just being critical of a person who, and I'm going to walk through exactly, but you know, the girl had just done a video about what my day was, and so she then goes in and criticizes because she's not working, all right? And so let me now show you another reaction to a post. So this was an Instagram post, and Kylie found it, and then she's going through it, calculating the number of hours she spent.
In an entire week. 28 hours a week you're working? Is my math wrong here, guys? This, by the way, comes from a girl who claims she makes 6 figures. 6 figures a year. Doing what? I'm so frustrated by this. There's a point that I'm trying to make here that I don't feel like is articulated very well, so I'm just going to put it in here. But what I'm trying to say is that these people...
Okay, so I want you to just pay close attention to this particular part, because she's obviously in the editing process here, and she realized something, and she kind of turns on the heat right here, and I want you to listen to it for authenticity, okay?
These people are masquerading around as if they're full-time employees when in reality they're only working part-time hours, and meanwhile they're getting all these kickbacks. They're getting to go on these trips, making all this money, and the only way that they're doing this is because they're selling this fake lifestyle to people who wish that they could have this life of going on these trips and making all this money and being financially free. And they're doing this by screwing over hundreds of people below them who are all falling into debt, and it is so morally corrupt and it makes me sick. But they're doing this on the backs of other people, and that's the point I'm trying to make. I think in this moment it looks kind of like maybe I'm jealous or something, that they can work a small amount of hours and still make a lot of money, and that's not true. It's that they're making this much money by knowingly sending other people into debt when they know these people are not making any money at all. That's the point I'm making. I hope this video gives you some very necessary clarity.
Much clarity. Okay, let's talk about this, all right? So in the beginning, I've walked you through. So I've got a couple other videos. If you haven't seen them already, you might want to check them out, because I've covered that she started this whole thing out with it's sketchy, it's clearly unethical, and clearly a scam, and why the business model is skewed. Okay, so that's when that's how she started out. And then she said, I'm going to show you how it's all these things. And the reason is because these people, they're not working. And then in the end there, she said that they're masquerading around blah, blah, blah. Okay, so then I handled the people at the top, things like that, in another video. It's completely a lie. Just seems like they're barking orders. I covered that in the other one. And then people at the bottom are doing all the work, killing themselves to make sales. Okay? So this is the two of them, and I need you to, because I don't want you to get confused by them. This one over here, the doing what statement, she has a 1 to 2 year old baby, right? This one has a 2-year-old baby. So she's nursing. I don't know if she is or not, okay? And then, so her whole communication about, and she was the woo, and she was like making fun of her, woo, a big day, whatever she did. So she was doing the whole thing on job comparison. I've never seen a person work in a job as an employee for 2 hours a day, you know, that kind of a thing. Well, that's a false equivalent. It's not even relevant because we're not a job. We're not employees. And that is her model because she has history there. And then this is the one where she had a real reaction where it was like 6 figures, and then it zooms in and goes, doing what? Right? So a lot of drama on there on that particular one. And so I want to walk you through. So that second one, let me just make sure. So this one right here, the 1 to 2 year old baby, and she's making 6 figures, doing what? Okay. And so this was the Instagram post, and here's what it said. She wakes up at 4, and between 4 and 6, she works out and she works. And then 6 a.m., the baby wakes up, she nurses. 7 a.m., breakfast, mom and dad. 9 a.m., nurse, plus nap time for baby. 12 o'clock, lunch. 2 p.m., nurse and nap and work. And then 3:30, nurse, the baby. 5:30, dinner. 7 o'clock, bedtime for baby and mom. And mom and dad watch a movie or play cards. Okay? So, obviously, this is a situation to where a mom is nursing her baby. So in an earlier video, I gave you an example of when you're building, there are times when you've stabilized your teams, and before you go and start a new line or a new team, you look around and you say, hey, you know what? Like, my team doesn't need me at all. They are their own leaders. Okay, and this is something that I know she can't understand, all right? But it is, in the very last video I did, I talked about the mechanics of wealth and how you create wealth. And it is, you make yourself unimportant to the generation of your own income. You have to do that. If you ever want to have time freedom, if you ever want to have wealth, you have to do that. And so what happens in network marketing is that you get a team and they get growing. And then you kind of notice they don't need me. Sweet. You know, so, and you kind of step back, you know what I mean? All right. So, but probably the worst PR move she could have ever moved is talk bad about a nursing mom. I mean, really? That is such a no zone. And I can't believe that she chose this. And I showed my wife and I said, you know, like, how do you feel? And I go, and she kind of just said, clueless, babe. You know, like, a person who doesn't have a baby has absolutely no reality. And they can go over to their girlfriend's house who has a baby and they think they know what a baby is about. But until you have your own, you have no clue. And so it was kind of funny to me. When I say funny, it was just interesting to me that to me, it was an advertisement, right? Like, I really was like, I don't get why she's bringing this up. I mean, the person is able to do all this and still make 6 figures. Like, I'm not getting how this is sketchy and a scam and all these things. I'm not getting it. All right. So, and so if you felt a little displacement in that, yeah, it's the same feeling I got. I'm like, is she here to prove a point? She hasn't proved it. Okay. So she worked for 2 hours, and this is the first one I showed you, though. Woohoo! I had a good day. And you could tell she was a sweet lady. She was humble. She's not some, like, masquerading around like. No, she was just an honest lady who was telling you what she was doing that day. Okay? So she worked for 2 hours, you know, and I let you listen to the whole thing. They're going to a retreat, which, by the way, is like the elite coaching trip that everybody gets to go on if you hit like a elite. I'm assuming they've been doing this, been doing this for years. So this is somebody who's got a lot of people under her. She got in a long time ago. She doesn't know that. You notice that? In other words, that's the stuff that you pick up when you hear it, all right? Like, she's fabricating, trying to blow that balloon up, okay? Long time ago, and so how does that work, okay? You work for 2 hours. I've never heard of a job where you get to work for 2 hours and 2.5 hours a day, all right? So there's no equivalent here. You cannot compare a job to somebody who owns their own business, right? You just can't do it. It needs to be compared. If she really wants to do something, if she really wants to make us look bad, all she has to do is compare us, or try to real estate broker, real estate agent, mortgage broker, insurance agent, affiliate marketer, Amazon marketer. Have her do that and show the averages and show what the lifestyle is. Okay? I know, because I'm in the inner circle of a lot of internet marketers, I know their life. I know everything that goes on. Not in every single one of them, but the ones in the inner circle, because we all work together. We like talk, we chat, we help each other's business models and things like that. And so I know what she's going to find. Okay? So this is not a good comparison. Doesn't work. It's kind of like a giraffe and an almond. You know what I mean? Like, it's no comparison whatsoever. And then her summary during editing. Okay, so this is where, when I talked in the beginning, I go, she gets kind of nasty here. Let me explain what I meant by that. So she comes back, and then she's talking, and all of a sudden it cuts. And then she was clearly dressed down in the second shot, right? So she was editing, probably, I'm assuming, okay? And she realized, I really didn't, there was no, the evidence did not prove sketchy, clearly a scam, all those things. It didn't prove it. So she puffed it up, all right? That's what my opinion of it is here. I'm going to read it to you and that you then listen, because I know you heard it, but I want you to read through it with me. Okay, so they're getting all these kickbacks. Okay, so that's an interesting phrase to me, because kickbacks is not a word that we use in network marketing. We call them benefits, you know, the elite trips and, you know, whatever other kinds of things. And those are rewards for promotions. That's the way that we talk about them, right? And but kickbacks is what's in her world. Okay, so she does sponsorship videos. So she'll come out and she'll do an unboxing of something, or a makeup, or a skincare, or a hair care, or something like that. Okay, so she does unboxing of these things, and they probably give her kickbacks. And so have you ever noticed sometimes that people project what they're doing that they're not revealing to anybody? They project onto others. You know, it's like blaming another for what you're doing, kind of thing. And so it's a possibility. It's all that I'm suggesting here, because the rest of this you're going to see that she's doing something. Making all this money, and I gotta emphasize this, the only way that they're doing this is selling this fake lifestyle. Okay. That, I sketched it. I go, excessive effort. The only way that they're doing this, doing what? Okay, like, the only way that they're doing this is selling a fake lifestyle, but she just told us, and she let us listen to the video, that they do have this lifestyle. The point that she was trying to make is that none of them are working, right? And so this piece is weird, okay? So I'll just start at the beginning. Making all this money, and the only way that they're doing this is selling this fake lifestyle to people who wish that they could have this life of going on these trips and making all this money and being financially free. And now I'll get down to here. But they are financially free and they do have time freedom. That's what she proved by putting them up and showing their lifestyle. All right. They're doing this by screwing over hundreds of people below them. All right, you didn't prove that. Who are all, she says it, all falling into debt. Okay, well, there's no way that these ladies can be making money if others aren't making money. You can't make $100,000 with a team and nobody else making any money, and all of them are going into debt. That was all just, let me stick that in there. I got to beat this up. Okay, I didn't prove what I wanted to prove. And she said I didn't articulate what I wanted to say. Okay, here's her articulation. All right, all falling into debt, and it's so morally corrupt. Now she's pumping that whole manipulation, the pre-framing of how you're supposed to view the fact that she didn't prove anything. And it makes me sick, but they're doing this on the backs of other people. All right. So if she really cared about anybody in debt, why didn't she attack credit card companies? They're the ones that give them the authorization to go into debt. You see, it's fake. All right. She's just, it's not, it doesn't line up. Okay. So now let me dig in and show you some things. Okay. So keeping in mind that all businesses do this pipeline, generate leads, contact, set appointments, do presentation, follow up, and you get customers, you serve them, you make money, or you get a rep and you serve them and you make money. All right. So they must do this to acquire customers or reps. Keeping this in mind, the moment when the team grows more than your efforts, since she doesn't know, she's never been in network marketing, she says she'd probably fail at it, she would never do it. Okay, good. But yet she seems to pretend that she knows so much about it. That's why she says seems like they're not doing anything and has those qualifiers on it. All right, so let me show you the way this thing happens for real. You're working a team, and this is a special operations diagram. My former background was special operations, and so in the last video I did, I showed that these are shooters, these are fire team leaders, these are squad leaders, these are platoon leaders, okay? And we normally work in the groups of 4 for a simple reason is that you can't manage more than 4 people, all right, at any one time. Without it getting chaotic. Sometimes in peacetime, you can move it up to 6. Okay, so here's the way it really builds. So you're working, right, and you're doing the pipeline. You're putting leads in. They're seeing presentations. You're putting leads in. You're seeing presentation. And it's a quantity thing because you've got to catch people who are in the right time in their life to want to do something different, okay? And then you got to catch them so not only do you need to catch that, but you also need to catch them inside the product category that you're in, and so that's the reason that it's a quantity, and that's no different than any business in the world. Everybody works in marketing under the same understanding. We do quantity. You do a Super Bowl, you shoot it out to millions, and and there's a percentage that want to buy those Doritos, and there's a percentage that want to buy that Coors. You know what I mean? So you're building, all right? You're cranking along, you're running, and you're getting people in. There's 5 of you, okay? And so you're meeting, and you do a lot of meetings at those particular times. And the reason being is that you're repeating, you're training. You're changing people's, their routine. All right, in the last video, I talked about the routine. It's such a vital thing. Whatever it is that your routine around your body, If you want to change your body, you have to change your routine. If you want to change your income, you have to change your routine, like what you do, how you think about money, how you think about prospects, right? And so, you get some person who's never dealt in the prospect world, and you've got to teach them how to look at it. I remember I was listening to some person on stage, and they were talking about, I don't know, pukies or something or other, and they were talking about how you should hang up on the prospect before they hang up on you if you find out that they're a pukie. And I was like, what in the world did she just say? Huh? First thing I ought to do is shoot her off the stage. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't believe somebody would say something like that. But there have been people who listen to that. And I have to go, Okay, so the only reason anybody reaches in their wallet to pull out money, or in their wallet to pull out money, is because they want their life made better. And so you need to qualify to find out what it is that would make their life better. All right? This is not some, boiler room where a bunch of people are on phone calls. All right? You want a customer for life. And so you've got to really serve them. And so you open the conversation with this. You then move into the conversation, and if they don't qualify for something that you have, you never invite them. Okay, so that's what I mean, where you're in here and you're teaching your people, your person, and then that person may sponsor somebody, and then you're making sure that this person is also training that successful behavior into these people. So it looks as though it's not moving fast. No, it's not moving fast. Okay, it's not just it looks it. It's not moving fast. It's slow, but it's good. It grows. All right, and so your 4 turn into 5. The next week, your 5 turn into 3. Some quit. Okay, keep going. Right, it's the game. And your 3 turn into 4. Your 4 turn into 6. And it grows, but it doesn't grow fast. And so it's really, really small. And there's this point where it begins to a little more. So you're going to get 3 or something like that extra a month, and then maybe 8 extra a month, and then maybe 16 extra a month. And it begins to multiply. And there's this incredible point where you noticed that you didn't work any harder. You worked all your hours. Like part-time when I was doing it in the military. I got to $20,000 a month within my first year working at part-time while I was in the military. And so there's this point, and it was way earlier than that. It was when my check doubled in a month. I remember I was washing my face. I had just come back from a meeting. And I remember looking up into the mirror, and I was like, I didn't work that much effort. Like I didn't, in other words, I work hard all the time. Okay? It's not work for me, but I just am producing all the time. And I remember looking up and going, I didn't work that hard. It wasn't that much more hours. It wasn't that much more effort than I put in the last month. But how did it double? And it was because my team had fully taken the concepts and the ideas and they had implemented them. And then their people had implemented them and gotten them. And so these people's lives, their routines shifted and they all became like this pipeline. So they were all doing the right things in these columns. And the production began to work like a steam engine, like a train, old, where they're all like moving like this. And then it was like 20,000, 36,000, 42, 56, 67. Those were my monthly checks. And I remember like, wow. And the Navy had said, we need to send you on an operation. And I was like, man, oh no, man, I'm going to lose my check, oh my gosh. And I came back like a month later, almost a month. And my check went up a lot. Okay, so you get the idea where all of a sudden, your team is better than you. In other words, as a team, they don't need you. And some people's ego, they can't handle that because, like I said last time, she's a solopreneur. And it's a very, very different model. Okay, so she's the star. She's the person who her identity, she wants her identity out there. All of that stuff. Where in my world, it's not what it's about. I remember this one time, and I'm sorry to but it's very important for you. I went up and I had this big leader, and I'd made just millions and millions and millions of dollars off of the team that he had built. And I went up, and we hadn't talked in a couple of years. And I was retired for 18 years, by the way. And I had a residual check for 18 years. Okay, so when somebody says it's not residual, really. And I talked to this guy, and he said, he goes, "Oh man, why don't you come up and talk and do a talk for my group?" I go, "Sure, man." And so I went up and I did my slides, and and I did a really good job on the slides in the presentation. And when I was all done, everybody came rushing up and wanted my slides. They, they were kind of like, "Wow, it was amazing," and things like that. And I remember looking over at my leader and realizing that I had made a fatal error. I had upped him. You don't do that. Okay? And I never lost that picture. And so I purposely am not as good I could be if I go speak for one of my teammates. Okay? And they're probably like, "Oh," because I want them to be giants. I want my kids to be better than me. I want my organization to be better than me. Every time somebody passes me in rank, I'm the person who is high-fiving them on the side of the stage. Okay? Because I want that. All right. So she says, falling into debt. All of them are falling into debt. That's what she said. And I said, from what? All right? That's what I said in my head when I heard that. The products all legitimate companies offer, and network marketing companies offer 30-day full money-back guarantee. Okay, all legitimate companies offer 90% money back for a year. The stuff she's pitching, ask her, what's the refund rate? Right? How long does it last? What's the guarantee? Nobody does it. I've never seen a business. Just imagine a grocery store owner, and he orders some bananas, and the bananas rot before he gets to sell them, and he's going to send them back. This is incredible. Okay, so when she says they're all going into debt on product use, on business expense, no. All right, this is 1099 income. All right, so 1099, if you're not familiar with it, there's W-2 and there's 1099. And 1099 is where the government literally pays you to build your own business. Okay, so if I want to run ads, then I get to write that off of my expenses. And so when people talk about how much money they lost, they had a sorry accountant, right? Or they weren't doing the pipeline. Okay, so, all right. And then on the backs, okay? So I call it on the backs, on the bucks. All right, so it's two different ways of looking at this, and they're different. So on the backs or on the bucks of other people. All right. So I got to give you this picture, all right? So I want you to take and just picture that you stand up to the grocery store and you're buying one almond, okay? Did the cashier that rang it up, did that person get paid on that almond? They did, right? They rang it up. They're working. They're standing on their feet, right? And did the bank or the manager of that grocery store make money because of that almond? Yep, sure did. And did the guy who unloaded it off the truck make money because of that almond? Sure did. And how about the trucker who brought it all the way from Georgia? Yeah, probably. Okay. And how about the farmer? He's get some, right? Yeah, he got some. Well, how about the fertilizing company? Lady put in the soil. Yeah, he got some. You get the understanding here. Okay, so that is the economy. All companies make money or lose money off the backs of their employees. All of them. Show me one. Okay? All of them do. So for her to say that and not compare it to anything else, no. She can have an opinion, but no, I think she was just trying to blow up that balloon and make some drama out of it. Every business lives on the bucks of their customers. You understand that little conversation I had where you reach in your pocket and you pull out your wallet, or you open your purse and you pull out money and you hand it to somebody. It's because you want your life to be made better. That is it's the currency of the economy. That is how all people in a company get paid. All right? So every business lives on the bucks of the customers. How about placing people below your team? This is something that I've never seen anybody else do. So I'm just going to pop open a blank screen here. I want you to picture this, okay? So you have a person, and this person is building two organizations, okay? It's two sides. And I get a new person, I'm going to put them somewhere, right? Under here. Think that through. I got somebody. I'm the upline, this horrible person, right? That's what she's saying. The reason it's sketchy, the reason it's clearly a scam, okay? So I have got to put it somewhere. Okay, so I put it here. Right? There it is. Do you realize what that means for this person? Well, I just contributed to that person's sales volume. Why doesn't she ever talk about that? Why does she want to pump up the scam part of this stuff and how the upline's doing nothing? There are some organizations where I've completely built half of their businesses. And others do it too. So, like this person, right? So she's going to build the inside of that, right? And so that's the way it works. And then this person puts somebody underneath here. This is team sales. This is the aggregate, including here, okay? It's the aggregate of that equals the sales volume. So all the customers that this person gets, that I put them underneath there, right? All the customers, it all rose through this person. That person can count it as volume. Do you see there? But she wants to make the upline out to something horrible. It's not the way it really works. All right, you got to be a little bit more smarter on how. In other words, if you're already in the industry, you would understand these concepts. But if you're new to the industry, you got to make sure you understand these things. Okay, the team sales aggregate. All right. So, and the other thing that I can never overemphasize, and I say it a whole lot, and one day you're going to go, "Wow, he's right." And it's not because I want to be right. It is that we get the same compensation that we offer to everybody else. That is crazy when you think it through. When you look at all other compensations in the world, you're paid because you are the nephew of my best friend, or you get bumped up or bumped down based upon somebody's girlfriend or somebody's father-in-law or some kind of thing. In other words, there's insertions that go on. You get paid because of your college or something like that. That's not production yet. Okay? And so this is just the most fair compensation you can ever get. All right. Okay, so screwing over hundreds of people. I would like her to line up those hundreds and get those hundreds from that person's organization and say, did he screw you over? All right, because let me tell you a little quick story here. This is what got me into network marketing. This is 231 Gardner Avenue. I had put out a bid to buy a house, and it caught. In other words, they said yes. It was 20% less than market value. And I then had a problem. how am I going to go to settlement? You know, I put up earnest money and I had to come up with settlement. And I didn't realize the amount of costs that were in the settlement. And so I had a problem. I didn't have enough money to go to settlement. I went to the newspaper and I answered a hokey ad. It was the only thing that I saw that said the words, "will train." I needed a solution. I answered that ad. He said, "come up to my house." It was an 1.5-hour drive. I went there. He was a good guy. And to this day, everything he promised me happened. This ad said earn $20,000 a month, top salesperson needed. I'd never done sales in my life, okay? Wear sharp Italian tailor-made suits, drive fancy European sports car. If you have the courage to call, it can make you rich. Every bit of that's true. I thought it was hokey at the time, but I thought, man, it says "will train." That's all I needed. Gullible. I was. His name was Rick Mayo. All right? Did he screw me over? No, he changed my life. And I changed a lot of people's lives after that. Millions of people. Sold probably going on $3 billion worth of products since then. And here's the thing. I just answered an ad. It could have been your ad. Right? And then I would have been in your team. You get the idea of how it works, where somebody builds a team. And if somebody, like I was very insecure at the time, and the people who I was working with is the reason I had success at the beginning until I developed the skills. All right? So now, did I care what Rick was making? See, she's putting all this emphasis on there, and where you get paid is not from up. Where you get paid is from what you build. It really is business ownership. And that's the reason that it is business ownership. But it's an aggregate of your team's volume. Okay? So that's what a lot of people in sales come into network marketing and they think they're just going to crush it. But what they don't recognize is that if they would just train the sales rep, the people that they get, that is where the volume comes from. And now, in conclusion, how hard is network marketing really? All right, because what she said, and I played it for you, Kylie said, killing themselves to make sales. All right, so you guys remember my background, right? So this is what the whole business is about. So I started out, I had a panel wall, panel, I think it's paneling, and had these little grooves in it. And so I would get 3x5 cards and I would put it up. And I said, I put a lead here. Put a card that said leads. And I knew that a customer was the last step. And just before the customer I followed up with some of them. Because some of them bought right at the presentation. So right before the follow-up, I had a presentation to do. And then I never, ever, ever did a presentation that I hadn't set an appointment for them to see the presentation. So that's why that's there. And then I never, ever had an appointment where I didn't contact the person first. And I never had a contact that I didn't generate the lead first. So that's the reason I know that that's all there is and there will never be anything else. I pop up a name and I just literally would move them and tape them onto that paneling wall. Okay? And I would move them down the pipeline, and when they were not interested, I moved them off the board. Okay? You're going to get a yes, a no, or a maybe. I promise you, you won't get any other answer. Yes, they can say yes pretty strongly, and they can say no pretty strongly, and maybe. Okay? But this is all you'll ever get. No surprises. In my former line of work, skydiving has some surprises. Deep sea diving has some surprises. Shooting weapons has some surprises. Defusing bombs, there's a lot of surprises. They're, in fact, built that way. They're targeting the bomb squad guys sometimes, okay? So at this stage, you literally, when I first started, it was big VHS videos. But today, you literally can set up a bot that generates a lead, has them watch a presentation, and then it is in the follow-up, it's an application. I mean, no, it's that easy these days, and there's 1 billion people on social media. Okay, so when she says back here, killing themselves to make sales, and she just goes into that whole, and this makes me sick and it makes me mad. Why the drama? What's she trying to do there? How hard is it? You work inside your air-conditioned or heated house. You have water right down the hallway. You have a bathroom right down the hallway. You have food right down the hallway. Nobody's shooting at you when you're like jumping out. It's the worst thing in the world for a parachutist to hear gunshot when he's going down. It's like, oh man, am I sitting? Anyway. So anyway, you get the idea here. How are they killing themselves? Okay, so what does Kylie want moms to do? You answer that question. So she just cut down 2 moms that are making good money and criticized them, put a lot of drama around it and things like that. And so what is it that you think Kylie wants the moms to do? How about that nursing mom? What's the best thing she can do? Think about it. Really, truly, answer it in yourself. Would it be better to do what she's doing and being able to be there with the child? You'll be really, really surprised. Okay, so when that money starts happening and you get past what you've ever made before, something occurs. I'm going to warn you about it now. You suddenly, because you're no longer working for a living, get really close to that statement I just made. You're not working for a living. In other words, you've been working and grinding your whole life. It's the gerbil scenario, right? You're just churning. And then one day, you see your team move real big jump in your check. And then you see it grow and it grows and grows. And then you're like, wow, they don't need me, and you stop and you start looking around your life and you start evaluating the whole thing from new. And I know it happened with my wife. I said, she got pregnant by me. and I said, and when we gave birth, I was in the room. It was in our bedroom. And she looks at me and she's like, this is the most precious thing in the world. And then after a couple of days and nursing and doing the things and she basically was in bed for a couple of days. She would get up and run around and everything, but she was just there with the baby. And there's a point where she goes, babe, this is the most incredible thing in the world. And she goes, what do I do about the business? And I go, baby is number 1, daddy's number 2, business number 3. Okay, just forget it. Be with the baby. Nothing more important. I can get another leader. I can't get another mama. You see what I'm saying? And so what's Kylie recommending? Anybody can be a critic. It takes no talent to be a critic. But it takes a giant to be an advocate of something. And I wonder what she advocates, all right? So why does she have the drama? All right, so this is what I want you to put in the comments down below. Why do you think she had to goose up all that drama? All right. And then also is, what do you think she recommends people to do? Become a YouTuber, right? So social media influencer. What does she recommend you do? Comment down below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Share it with teammates because I think there's a lot to learn from this one. Thanks so much.